I am taking an interest in discussing the parliamentary form with all of you. Whether a government is parliamentary or presidential depends on the relation the executive organ of the government has with the legislature. In a parliamentary form, first the people go to the polls to elect their representatives. Since elections always involve parties, the party which gets the majority of seats in the legislature forms the government. The executive is called the Council of Ministers, or more colloquially, the cabinet. In reality, though there are some differences between the cabinet and the Council of Ministers. Normally, the Council of Ministers is a bigger body, the cabinet a smaller body inside it. The cabinet is made of the ministers who are more important. Anyway, the Council of Ministers is formed out of the elected members of the parliament of the majority party. The leader of the cabinet becomes the prime minister. He or she forms the cabinet. The cabinet, once the government work is distributed between various ministers, they had different departments or ministries, sometimes rather interestingly called their portfolios. Occasionally, there are ministers without party portfolios. Without portfolios. Don't think the executive, don't think that a minister without portfolios is least important than those with portfolios. The executive as a whole is responsible for its policies. Whatever happens is laid at the door of the entire council, not of a single minister. In a parliamentary system, the executive is in constant touch with a legislature. It is part of the legislative, it is part of the legislature actually. It has to work through it for the politics, the government, for the policies, the government has to pass laws. It is the task of the entire cabinet or council of ministers to defend them. Laws are passed by votes. If the government loses on voting, the entire council of ministers has to resign. In fact, it might be the fault of some particular ministers. But under a parliamentary government, the ministers stay or leave together. Only occasionally, when the entire council of ministers is unwillingly to take the blame, a single minister may be dropped. The normal rule, however, is the opposite. That is why it is sometimes said that the ministers have to the ministers have to called a motion of no confidence in the government. If the motion is carried, If the motion is carried, that is, if it majority of members vote for it, the ministry goes out of the office. A ministry cannot function if it does not have a majority in the legislature. It governs only if it enjoys the legislature's confidence. You know that our country, India, has adopted the parliamentary form of government. This is all about the parliamentary government. Thank you.